Today I am joined by Kyle from Fallujah. The band are heading back down under for Shredfest 2026 alongside Obscura, bringing the new album Xenotaph to Australian audiences. Kyle, thank you so much for your time, man. How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anytime. I'm stoked to have you on. We are even more stoked that you are coming out. How are you feeling about the run?
Good, man. Yeah, it's this is the third time Fallujah has been to Australia. For me, it's the second time because I haven't been in the band since the very beginning. But it's been a few years, and like you said, it's our first time coming back since releasing the new album. So yeah, we're just fucking excited. We had a lot of fun last time.
Yeah. You guys were out here
and
with Cattle Decapitation last time in 2023,
Yep,
so massive
exactly.
lineup
Yeah,
then. And then coming out with
yeah,
Obscura this time, like, you guys are just hitting these lineups like there's no tomorrow.
yeah, totally. Yeah. No, we're excited, and we're actually playing with Obscura before that as well. We're heading to Japan with them in just a few days here, like 4 or 5 days we head out. So we'll go to Japan with them, and then go our separate ways for a while, and then reunite in Australia. So
Yeah,
yeah,
nice.
it'll be awesome.
Nice. Random for me, but is like Japan, have you hit Japan before? Is there anything you're looking forward to doing like
No,
while you're there?
yes, yeah. So it's the first time for everyone in the band. It's very exciting.
I had a feeling that
Um,
that was the case, so
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean we're stoked. Unfortunately we won't have that much extra time to do stuff in Japan. Like when we first got the Japan offer, we're like, obviously we're gonna stay for an extra week, right? And just do Japan stuff.
yeah.
But with how many tours we're doing this year, we weren't quite able to schedule it like that. Like we're actually we just got back from South America like a week ago. Then we're going to Japan in a couple days. Then when we get back, we have basically one day between that and our next US tour.
Mm.
So it's like we'll get to do stuff like in the days before the shows and hopefully
Yeah.
go out a bit at night. So honestly, the answer is like whatever we can squeeze in, whatever.
Yeah.
We've got some friends there. I'm sure the promoter will have places to kind of take us around to also. So
Yeah.
I have no idea what we're getting up to yet in terms of like touristy stuff, if there's time for any of that. But whatever, we're gonna be playing it by ear. Whatever opportunities come up, we'll be down, eat some
Yeah.
food, hit
Oh,
some
hell yeah.
bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a massive nerd, if you can't tell like what's
Sure.
behind me. And a music nerd as well. And my guitarist in my band just got back from Japan, and he just loved going to like guitar shops, sitting there playing
Totally.
like customs and stuff, and seeing crazy guitars that just don't get over here. But I would be
Yeah,
the
I
opposite.
bet.
I'd be like, I want to go look at like retro video games and Pokemon and like cool nerd shit.
Totally. My Japanese nerd hobby is I build the Gundam model kits, the Gunpla. So I
Oh
mean, I've got
yeah,
a bunch over here, there's a bunch over
where I,
there, a bunch up here.
you can kind of see one sitting behind a microphone here. I've got a
What
Barbarous
is
sitting
that
on.
one?
That's a Barbarous.
Okay.
I've got an ashtray behind him. I'm really bad with the names.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I've got
No,
about
I've got those
I've
too.
got
I've
about
got
30 kits
the
sitting in a cupboard. And every now and then I'll just pull one out, and that's like a fun thing
totally.
to do for
Yeah,
the day.
I've got like 10 in my backlog in the closet. I've got the RG Astray up there, the MG Barbados over here. So
Yeah,
totally. I'll find something. I would love to bring back something just for the sake of it.
dude, there's the place to do it as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. For me, I would go over and like fill a box and post it back to myself.
totally. Well,
Um,
that
or,
might
or
be
three or four
you
boxes.
totally. Well, normally like most of the time when I'm packing for tour, it's like I've got my bag with like a month's worth of clothes and stuff like that, This is like we're playing 4 shows in Japan. We'll be there for like 5 or 6 days total. I'm leaving some extra room in my bags,
Yeah,
so that I can bring stuff back for sure.
yeah, 100%. That'd be me. I don't know how I'd fit it all. Um,
Yeah.
at least a good thing with like, if you're not into like boxes, especially with like Gundam stuff, you could like
Mhm.
get those boxes apart, fit like 3 models into one box, and
That's true. Yeah. It's just all
yeah,
the flat sheets.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I'll
I
figure it
have
out. I'll make it
problems.
work.
Yeah, I have a problem. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Now look,
Yeah. Well, it's a good place for that.
yeah. Now look, coming back to like the tour and everything going on with this, I mean, it's just massive. What are you most looking forward to when you get to Australia? Obviously, you like being here before. Is there anything that you were like, I need to do that again, or I didn't get to do?
Um, let's see. I mean, we got to see a lot of stuff last time, and we're doing a pretty similar run of cities this time as well. We're doing Perth, Adelaide,
Yes.
Brisbane. Canberra, Sydney, and Melbourne. So
Yeah.
7 shows total. I think that's
And
actually the
Darwin on the end
exact.
there.
Actually, we are we on the Darwin show?
Ooh.
You're right. You're right. We are. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
There's certain shows we're not on. Like we're
okay.
not on the New Zealand part. No, you're right. We're playing Darwin. That's actually the
Yeah.
last one we're on. So yeah, 8 shows total. So yeah, Darwin will be new to us.
Darwin's
Um,
cool. I lived in Darwin
yeah.
for a while. If you
Okay,
want to go
sweet.
like check out like the crocodile parks and stuff like that, you can get like up close and personal with like crocodiles and stuff. And
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. We went
but
to like a wildlife park last time. You know what we didn't get to do? We didn't get to hold the koalas.
oh yeah,
We went to the what was it called? It's like something Pine Wildlife Park. It's like the place where all the bands go and hold the koalas. Like
yeah,
anytime you see a band in Australia, that's always at this one park. And we went there, but I guess there's like a special additional ticket you need specifically to hold the koalas and not just look at them. And
we got
that
booked
ticket was
out.
like sold out for the day. So yeah, we got to look at them from afar. But that's my answer. I'm gonna hold
Yeah,
a fucking koala.
fuck yeah. I feel like
We'll
really
make
spoiled
sure.
with that sort of thing, not just because I'm an Australian, but like literally, I live like in South Australia in Adelaide, about an hour and a half out of the city, and so
Mhm.
I'm like fairly rural. Like I've got farms and stuff around me. But about a
Yeah,
10-minute walk from where I am, I've got a massive wildlife sanctuary where you can do all of that stuff.
nice.
And I've been
That's awesome.
like hassling homies in bands from like the States and stuff when they come over to be like, yo, spend a couple of extra days, come down here because firstly, no one's going to know you.
Yeah.
This is like a little country town. Like the worst you're going to get is a little old lady crossing the other side of the street if you see her coming. And I'm talking like Brandon from Bleeding Through. Like if you see him walking down the street in a little small town, um, that little old lady's going to get out of the way. But he's a
Yeah.
sweet, he's an absolute sweetheart. I love that guy. Um, but having like those guys come down here and being able to experience that sort of stuff, and like feeding kangaroos, and stuff
Yeah.
like that as well. Like, yeah, if you get the opportunity, make sure you try and yeah, get that stuff in because that's like, I mean, I live here, and I still love that stuff. Like, it's just yeah, it doesn't get
Totally.
old. Yeah,
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 yeah, for us it's usually comes down to when we have off days during the tour. Because like stuff like that that's more of a bit more of an intensive, like requires a good chunk of the day. Like
yeah,
stuff like that, it's hard to squeeze in on show days, but off days are like fair game. And with tours like this, there's usually a couple of off days, but with how much travel there is, flying between every city and all that. Um so yeah, that's usually what dictates like when we really have time to do stuff or not.
I
But
completely get. Yeah, I completely
yeah.
get that.
We'll see.
Get
There's a
getting those
certain
lucky
amount of just
ones.
having to go with the flow, that kind of happens with these
Yeah,
tours like this. Like we just got back from Latin America. We did like Mexico and South America. And like some days we got to go do stuff, like had some nice fancy dinners, try local food, go see the sights. Other days it's like you get from the airport, you go to the venue, you're in some alleyway, and then you play the show and you leave, and it's like we went to Brazil and I didn't see anything except for like I met a bunch of nice Brazilian people at the show and we played a good
yeah,
show, but didn't even like go to a coffee shop or like
yeah,
get
yeah.
local food or anything. So it's sometimes you get to do stuff, sometimes you don't, but you just go with the flow. It'll be fun.
Yeah, the joys of seeing a country from a bus window
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
Especially when you're in like Europe as well. You'll go through like a couple of countries and not realize it. Um,
Totally.
yeah, yeah,
Dude, my first time ever in Italy, like I love Italian food, so of course I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go try some like authentic Italian food. What we ended up having was like it's one of those days again where it's mostly a travel day and you get to the show and like they have catering for you sometimes.
yeah.
And it was just like Chef Boyardee ass like plain spaghetti and stuff, like sauce from a can. Like, it's like, oh, they fed
Sounds
us, that's
sounds
nice,
brutal.
but I'm like, yeah, that's, it was okay, but it's a shame to go all the way to Italy and then
Oh
leave and
yeah,
that's all you have. But
yeah.
maybe next time.
I'm a glutton for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Food. Like I will
totally.
travel for food. I'll come back to like that
Totally.
food thing in a minute though, because I'd love to talk about the album a little bit. Um,
Sure.
Now look, your vocals like hit this like atmosphere for the band that's really unique. Um, you go from these massive, brutal lows that have got like just so much tone in there, um, through to like these almost like cinematic emotional cleans. Um, Now as a vocalist as well, I'd love to know like how you approach that sort of thing. Is that just
Sure.
your natural sort of this is how I write? Or is this something that you've worked on, and um, is it like a skill that you've developed?
Yeah, yeah, thanks, man. First of all, I think so yeah, a couple things. So one thing is like on the new album in general, th this is my second album with Fallujah, but for
Mm,
me it's the first album that I was like in the band for the entire writing process from beginning to end. Like
yes.
when I joined the band and we recorded the album before that, Empyrean, um, it's like when I joined, like I joined at a time where I was able to still write all the lyrics and things like that. But it's like the rest of the band was already working on this album and they kind of had a vision for it. And like some songs, like our guitarist Scott would have ideas in place already. He's like, I was thinking the vocals could kind of go like this, and my job was to come in and like help realize the vision that was already there. Like
Yeah.
sometimes there was more, sometimes it was more open-ended and I could kind of, come up with whatever. But it's like there was already a specific vision in place, and I was trying to kind of help fulfill that. On the new album, as opposed to that, I was there the whole time, and I was like, okay, this is my album to try to show off a little bit and try to kind of make a statement. So I definitely did want it to be um, very diverse in terms of the vocal techniques, because to me, that's something that I'm able to bring to the table. Like, I don't think I'm the craziest singer ever or the craziest screamer. Like there's screamers and singers that have more range and can do more crazy stuff, whatever. But for me, as somebody that's made a lot of different music in the past and dabbled in a bunch of different styles, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the album where I try to show my entire range stylistically of what I can do with my vocals. And in line with that too, like we've had like guest features before. Like the last album had a couple of guest features and had like certain like ambient kind of female backing vocals on some songs and stuff like that. And for this album, I was like, I'm gonna do everything myself so that there's no question of is this a feature? Is this a guest? Is this something else? Um,
Awesome.
just kind of to, I like having collaborations and guest features, but
Mm.
I'm like, for this album, we're just gonna keep it all in the band and I'm just gonna try to get as broad as I can with it. Yeah, so that's what happened, and yeah, I really tried to push into that, I guess. And that comes down to like one having a big mix of like the ratios of like screams versus clean singing, and also just the range of both, like low screams and high screams, and trying some new kind of shouty screams I hadn't done before, and then having like quiet, sort of ambient clean parts with a bunch of harmony layers, and then also having big like kind of rock style like belting in your face vocals too, and just yeah, trying to really deliberately do a lot of that. And for me, I wanted the instrumentals to be very dynamic as well because I let that guide the vocals.
Yeah.
Like if there's a melodic part that like if I hear a chord progression that makes melody ideas pop into my head, I'm probably going to do cleans over that section. Um, but then if there's too many clean sections in a row, then maybe I'll put in some growls just for the sake of keeping it diverse and exciting throughout the song. But yeah, you're right that on this album I definitely tried to cover as much ground as I could.
Yeah, no, and it is awesome. Do you I mean, this is kind of silly, but as a vocalist, sort of, do you have names for like different screams? Because
Um,
I come from an
yeah,
era when like we didn't call it a fry, or we didn't call it,
totally,
a false chord. It was like finding that comfortable spot that didn't hurt and you didn't lose your voice.
totally.
And now I look at it and I'm like, I understand that air pressure behind everything now and all of that. But like, do you have like silly names for things?
Yeah, totally. And I know what you mean too, because like when I learned how to scream, it was like 2012, 2013, something like that, when like there were videos on YouTube, but there weren't like 100 screaming vocal like academies to choose from like there
Yeah.
are now. There wasn't as much of like a established, streamlined kind of science behind it. Like you said, it's people talked less in terms of false chord and fry and whatever else, and talked more in terms of like, I mean, when I teach vocal lessons, my philosophy is kind of what you said. It's like you just find the part of your voice that doesn't hurt. It can be helpful to identify, kind of how other people do things. But at the end of the day, it's like do it in a way that doesn't hurt, call it what you want. And if it comes out sounding cool and doesn't feel horrible, then like you're doing it. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's false chord fry, whatever,
Yeah, exactly.
or like a blend or whatever. Um, the one scream that had kind of a funny name for us that I didn't name it, my bandmates named it, was so like with the screams, I do a lot of the kind of, the lows or growls or the gutturals, whatever you want to call them, and then also like the high screams, like yeah, that sort of tone.
Yeah.
But a new one I was doing on this was I was trying this like really nasally kind of shouty scream that was like inspired by a couple of particular bands, but it feels intense. It feels like me basically just getting super nasally and getting really loud and pushing really hard. And so it comes out like strained, but in what I thought was kind of an interesting way.
Yeah.
Our guitarist calls it my Cartman scream because he says it sounds like Cartman from South Park. It's like
I
this
love that.
kind of voice, and I kind of hear it. He's like I remember he sent just a photo of Cartman to our group chat, and he's like, just look at this while you hear the song. And I'm like, yeah, I see it. I see it. It's kind of a Cartman scream. So I
Well,
use that like in a couple of parts in the album, but yeah, that's to me that's the first thing I think of when you're like, if any of the screams have a dumb name. I'm like, yeah, that's the one.
yeah, I mean, for me, like my highs, I've always just called my goblins. Um,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, you've made me feel quite old as well. Because I had a thought, I was like, when did I start my first band? Like where I was a hardcore band and lost my
Mhm.
voice every practice, every gig, everything,
Yeah.
just because I didn't know what I was doing. But that would have been 2002.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, running around trying to be like Poison the Well and Bleeding Through, and um,
Totally.
yeah, um,
Sick.
the
Yeah,
best
I
ones
was
though.
in bands. I was in bands before I learned how to scream, but I wasn't screaming. Like I had like an indie rock band years before that and was just making weird instrumental music by myself. Um, but yeah, that was like it was like my third or fourth project when I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to scream. I'm gonna start my metal project and I'm gonna incorporate screaming. And kind of like you said, when I started, I didn't know what to call anything. It was kind of
Yeah.
like later I started to learn about, okay, people call this fry and people call that false chord.
Yeah, and
But
it's I love it now learning new techniques when I see people. The latest one for me, like people call it the yawn technique, where I'm kind of just dropping my Adam's
okay.
apple down, and it
Yeah.
lowers your voice a little bit more and gives you kind of an extra tone in there.
Totally.
It's
Yeah,
very slow to
that's
short of
something
pain.
I teach as well. Yeah, like the
Yeah,
lower larynx position. My
yeah,
one of my friends refers to that as he says when you're doing lows, you should sound like okay, well, I'll say it the other way around. When you're doing highs, you should sound like SpongeBob, and when you're doing lows, you should sound like Patrick. And so like the
yes,
oh,
yeah.
that kind of thing. But
I love that.
exact same idea. Yeah, it feels like a yawn. Sounds like a yawn, right?
Yeah, well, that's how I've always like, yeah, open everything up, and then kind of push it down like I'm yawning. So,
Totally.
get those
Yeah, it
bare
gets you
tones.
sounding deeper without having to like produce a lower pitch. It just sounds bigger
Yeah,
and lower. Totally.
yeah. And then the other one for me is the big one is not blowing myself out on stage by just pushing way harder than I
Sure.
need to. Just that
Yeah, that's
adrenaline.
hard.
Um,
Totally.
yeah,
I
feed it.
think there's no way to really master that besides just experience.
No,
Like
no.
it's good to keep it in mind, like when you're up there, like, okay, I'm gonna try not to overdo it. At the end of the day, the only way to get really good at that balance is just going through it.
Yeah,
Over
yeah,
time,
yeah.
you just kind of learn how it should feel and learn how to push hard enough to sound good, but not so hard that your voice is ruined for the next day or whatever.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Look, I always round these up with just a few quick fire questions. So this is
Sure.
just kind of off the top of your head. Feel free to expand on them if you want. And some of them like aren't easy or too easy to answer for musicians, so feel free to give me like multiple answers.
Sure.
Um, who's your favorite Australian band or musician?
Ooh. Okay, one band that comes to mind is Nihil Ascaris. That's probably my answer.
Oh, I love that. I
I
love that.
feel like I need, unless I'm forgetting. These questions are always hard for me because I'm like, what if there's other bands I'm like forgetting?
Oh yeah,
But, but yeah,
I and
great,
like
great band.
guaranteed, like in an hour's time, you'll think of 10 other answers. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Another one is I Love Pliny also. That's another
yeah,
good
nice,
Australian artist, the
nice. I
guitarist.
love that. For me,
Yeah.
locally, there's a band called Ecdysis that I
Okay.
absolutely love, and Seek Misery and Barriers. Probably the three big ones.
Cool.
Um,
Well, actually, one more I got to shout out. Melancholia,
oh
more of
yeah,
our
amazing.
Australian homies. Love those guys.
Yeah,
Great band.
yeah, great band, great band. What was the last song that you played on repeat?
Ooh, let me check. Last song I played on repeat.
Mine was an easy one because it was only a few hours ago. It was the Homies Lost Souls, rocking the shirt that I
Okay,
used on
sick.
Dopamine.
Totally. I have an answer actually. I've been on a big In Flames kick recently. I
Of course.
never got into them until like probably 6 months ago or something like that. I just never took the time to actually check them out.
Yeah, yeah.
And we saw them live in Mexico City during our last Latin America tour. Like it happened to be an off day we could go see In Flames. So I've been on a big In Flames kick, and I mostly listen to the older stuff, but their newer album I kind of finally gave a proper couple listens to, and there's a song on their latest album, Foregone, called State of Slow Decay, that
Yeah.
I was like definitely repeating for a few days.
Yeah, yeah. There is something amazing about getting into a band that you like know about, like probably think I would like, but getting into them
Yeah,
later in life when you've got a back catalogue to get into as well.
totally. Yeah, a lot to
It's
dig into.
yeah, yeah,
Totally,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, Greer for me at the moment. Lost, their new album is just killing it. And I've just gone
Nice.
back and discovered everything. And then we just picked up the local support for them out here, so I'm pretty stoked on that as well.
Dude,
Um,
sweet.
yeah. What was the last band that after seeing them live, you were completely blown away by?
Hmm. Let me think. Who have I seen? Okay, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but this is my honest answer. Is nowadays most of the time when I'm seeing bands live, it's like on our tours. It's
Yeah.
the other bands we're with. Like sometimes I'll have time to go to shows like when I'm back home, but we've been touring so much that like the majority of the shows I've seen have been our friends, that
Yeah.
we're on tour with. And we just got back from playing with Beyond Creation, and they're so good live, so
Awesome.
sick.
Awesome. That's one I want to
I
check
knew
out.
I knew they were a good band. Had never seen them live before this tour, and yeah, they were just super impressive, super great. So yeah, that's my answer. Honestly, it's like it's an easy answer to just shout out whatever friends you were just on tour with. But honestly, yeah, I was super impressed.
I have been there and like doing this sort of thing. Like a lot of the stuff I listen to is either people I'm going to be interviewing or it's bands that I'm playing with.
Totally.
So I get
Yeah.
that, and I get a lot of people are like, "What do you mean you haven't heard this band or you haven't heard that band?" Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool getting to
There's a
discover
lot of
different
bands,
bands.
Just
Oh
there's
yeah,
not time
yeah,
to know all the bands,
yeah, exactly.
especially like if you like digging, deep into bands
Yeah.
like many of us do.
What was the one album that changed your life?
Ooh. Hmm. It's hard to just pick one. Um, I feel like one that I always go back to, just because it hit me at like a formative time when I was younger, is "Sing the Sorrow" by AFI. I
Oh,
feel like that
yes.
was just one of the first kind of albums of like this combination of like melodic and aggressive. It's not like in a metal way exactly, but
No, I
yeah,
have a
just
relationship
melody and
with that
aggression
album as well.
combined. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. Every
Yeah, so
breakup,
that's
um, yeah, every
yeah,
breakup that has been there for a long time for me. Um,
totally.
Thank goodness not for a long time, and I can listen to it again and again.
Yeah.
Mate, if you could master one art form that wasn't music, what would it be?
Hmm. It would be from scratch, because there's not really any art form outside of music that I have much experience in. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
visual art is awesome. Like I would, yeah, that's probably my answer.
Nice.
Like I don't really enjoy doing like videos very much when I'm forced to do like playthroughs and things like that. So maybe less of like a video kind of medium, but yeah, probably like illustration or
Yeah, cool.
like something like that. Like something you could do for album covers and merch designs.
Yeah, nice.
I have no artistic skills with that, but I feel like I appreciate it as a medium.
Yeah. Last question. If you could collab with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, it's another hard one.
I could give you about 50 answers for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I always refer to Taylor Swift.
Sure. Well, yeah,
I'm
that'd be a
making
good
money,
business
so
move. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
it's the sellout move.
Taylor Swift came up in the last interview I just did. That's funny. Um, from a yeah, very good business decision for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
shit, man, that's a hard one. Another one of those questions where I'm gonna think of a great answer like right after this.
yeah,
But I think I would have to pick like a band that I love. You know what I mean? Like as as many benefits could come from collabing with Taylor Swift or whatever. It's like work with Meshuggah or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Meshuggah, Opeth, one of those bands that you know take a lot of inspiration from. Yeah,
yeah.
well, one of those bands, something like that.
No, that's
Take a
awesome.
song from that.
I
Yeah,
definitely like going back to AFI. I would love to sing a song with Dave. So
totally.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Davey was the guy that like made me want to scream in the first place way
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I there is something about that band I'll never ever not like anything they do. So,
Dude,
um,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mate, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. We cannot wait to see you out here. September 3rd, hitting Perth, rolling through to Darwin on the 13th of September, and
Yep.
everywhere in between. First time out since 2003. Is there anything you want to say to the Aussie fans before you come out?
Just the usual, we're excited to see you guys again. Excited to come rip some shows with Obscura. Um, Hope you guys check out our new album Xenotaph if you haven't already. And
Yeah,
yeah, we're looking forward to playing the new material for you guys at the shows.
that is awesome. Everybody, make sure you go out and catch these guys at the Shredfest shows. They're going to be amazing. Yeah, September is going to be a huge month for live music. Kyle, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, mate. And I'll see you very soon out here in Australia.
Fuck yeah, sounds good, man. Hope to see you at the show.
Lost file.